Hi guys, Togo here with a new video, and this video will be my Wrath of the Lich King Classic video guide for people not really certain on which class they should play for PvP in Wrath of the Lich King. Now, pre-patch is live, so you can still enjoy that 50% increased XP from all sources, which is pretty good. Also, they nerfed the XP ranges, so it's also faster to get level 70. So I would recommend everyone to level right now in pre-patch, because I mean, if you don't want to level, you can still have a boost for one character. But I know myself, I want at least 3 or 4 characters to be available for PvP because I like to alt. And I'm going to discuss with you guys which classes you may play in PvP and which specs are the most meta for that specific class. So let's start right away with saying I've bought the level 70 boost because I'm not a big leveler. I still need to level my Druid level 70. I still need to level my Paladin. I will have to level my DK because I will actually main DK with another class. I don't know if I'm going to main Druid or not, but I will main DK, so I'll still need to level it. But I've bought the level 70 boost to get a character up to speed, which is super nice. I'm going to start right away with the explanation on which races you could play or faction you can play if you want to be meta. Of course, depends if you're Horde or Alliance. I myself play Alliance since vanilla. And I will always do that, except on retail where I play Horde and Alliance because for obvious reasons. Before you couldn't really group up in Alliance, now you can because of the cross-faction queues, which is very nice, and cross-faction LFG. But let's talk right away about Classic. So if you want to make a new tune and you're willing to play Warrior, Paladin, Mage, Warlock, Rogue, Priest, or DK Alliance side, I would recommend to play Human. Human gets a free trinket that can be used for any altering effect, like for example fear, stuns, traps, whatever. It's not on like on retail only for stuns. In Classic, World of Warcraft, Wrath of the Lich King, you can actually trinket out of everything, so it's pretty nasty. It gives you also 2 possibilities to have trinkets for offensive purposes. You can also have defensive ones, but normally people will use an on-use and a passive one, for example, or they can also pick 2 on-uses, but it's very good for PvP. I would recommend to play Human. Of course, you're not obliged to do that. You can play a Night Elf Warrior or Night Elf or Dwarf Warrior. It doesn't really matter, really. If you want to min-max, I think you should play Human if you are Alliance. If you're playing Hunter or Druid, I would recommend to play Night Elf. You get Shadow Melt, which is different from TBC and Vanilla. Shadow Melt has a 2-minute CD, and you can drop Combat, which is super good for Rogues, for example. Rogues can also enjoy Night Elf. But for Hunters and Druids, you will also need that Shadow Melt because you can drop combat, but you also can cancel CC, or you can cancel damage that is coming to you. So it's very good because of this skill gap ability. Now for leveling, it's a bit worse because now you cannot Shadow Melt drink all the time, like every 10 seconds. Now you really have a 2-minute CD, so you really cannot abuse that while leveling. But now mana regeneration and also just regeneration in general is a lot better in Wrath of the Lich King, so you will not have mana issues while leveling most of the time. So if you're playing Shaman, of course you don't really have any choices than just to play Draenei. I would recommend to go for Horde if you will play as Shaman, but of course if you're playing Alliance you don't really have a choice, and it is still a good race, I guess, but I feel like the healing itself is not really impressive and you're playing just Draenei because you don't really have a choice. Gnomes are they still have an escape for roots and snares, but it's not as important anymore in Wrath of the Lich King since humans can just dispel everything with their trinkets. So it's very not dispel, but I mean they can break CC for everything with their trinkets. So basically it just is better than Gnome. And Dwarfs, they can still have Stone Form, which is still good, but it's not like good like Vanilla where you could actually break blinds. I think you cannot break blinds anymore on Wrath of the Lich King. If I'm not correct, please comment below. But anyways, that's for Alliance. For Horde, you can play Orc to actually have reduce stun duration. So now you cannot really resist anymore those stuns on Wrath of the Lich King. It's now a reduction, like on retail, on the amount of time you get CC'd. For stuns, for example, so it's very, very good. You also have an unused trinket, I would say, by itself, so it can mimic a bit how a human gets, because you can have Blood Rage, which is pretty good for using CDs and trying to burst. Undead still has a removal of fear, sleep, and charm, so it's very good still. If you're playing versus Warlocks, you still have a great time. Warlocks are going to be very popular, so Undead is also a very good choice. Taurens, they have Stomp, which is still interesting, but it's not meta at all, because it's a 2-second stun or something in Wrath of the Lich King, so it's... And also DR, so I don't think it's a very good ability to use, or good ratio to use. But if you want to play Tauren, you can still do, especially if you're Druid, you don't really have any choice. But I would think in Wrath of the Lich King, Night Elf gets the upper hand, while in TBC, Taurens were very, very good in TBC, because you couldn't really Shadow Melt in combat, and Stomp was always a good ability to do to actually heal yourself, or get a Cyclone, for example. A Troll gets a haste effect. It's alright. I don't think it's meta at all. If you want to play Troll because you like to play Troll, you can still do that. But I feel like you will have more success with your Orc. Blood Elf, of course, it's the only Paladin race out of Horde. You don't really have a choice here, but you can still silence nearby enemies with your ratio, which is still something good for a Paladin, because you don't have an interrupt. And having a silence on a CD is still useful, so for sometimes get a kill while you maybe couldn't get the kill if you were human, for example. So those are the races. Now let's talk class per class, which class you could play in PvP. I'm going to talk about comps a bit and possibilities, and also just the meta spec if you really so desire. So let's start off with Warrior. So they are a fantastic class to PvP on. The thing is, it starts a bit slow in the beginning, but it gets better and better with gear, which is pretty much every expansion. I would say in retail it's a lot different, but on classic expansions, warriors are actually a bit slower at the start, but gets better once you have gear. So I think you should be a bit patient whenever you're playing warrior. You only have one real spec, which is arms. There is also a spec called protection that is also being played in arenas and BGs. You can pretty much one-shot someone, but it drops off because arms is just more reliable. But if you want to have fun, you can still play protection. You can watch Swifty do that. He has loads of fun one-shotting people, and he will probably play protection most of the time. So if you want to learn how to protection warrior, you can still watch Swifty. But Fury warriors, it's not that interesting. I would say arms is just the better version of a Fury warrior, but if you want to play Fury warrior, you can still do that. In twos, you would like to play with a Holy Paladin. That's pretty much the meta comp that you would and can play. You can also play with a Restoration Shaman, or you can play with a Restoration Druid, and you can still have huge success with it. I would not do double DPS. That's the problem with a warrior, but you can still try, I guess, with an Enhancement Shaman maybe, or with a Feral Druid to get the off heals, or maybe with a Retribution Paladin. So in trees, I would recommend to play Thundercleave, which is pretty much playing with an Elemental Shaman and one-shotting people. You can play, of course, with a Retribution Paladin, which is not as meta as on retail, or you can play TSG, which is with a DK, and that is probably the most fun comp that you can play as a arms warrior. Of course, you can play multiple comps as warrior, but I would recommend those 3 comps if you want to enjoy your time. Of course, KFC is also a possibility because hunters become a very great menace in Wrath of the Lich King. Let's talk about Paladin. Paladin has the flexibility of having a lot of great specs. You can play Preg, which is pretty much a late game spec because you need a great amount of crit, but you can make it work. You can also play Holy Paladin, which is probably one of, if not the best healer PvP-wise in the game because of Sacred Shields. But of course, it can get dispelled, so you really need to play passively. You don't really have a lot of offensive power, and you may enjoy that that laid back healing spec, but it's very active in PvP, so I would recommend to play Holy Paladin if you really want to be a very active healer, healing wise, not DPS wise, and you really have great CC actually. The CC is still great, with Hammer of Justice being a very good spell. And Retribution Paladin, of course, why can't I talk about it? It's such a great spec to play. You will do huge amounts of damage. People reminiscent the fact that Retribution Paladin were very good in Wrath of the Lich King, and they are, even at the last patch, they are actually a very great menace in PvP. Is it very meta in 2s? Not really. Is it meta in 3s? You can make it work with a Hunter, you can make it work with a Rogue, you can make it work with a Arms Warrior. Actually, you just need something that actually brings a lot of damage to the table, so you can have some burstiness, but also some great consistent damage with your mate. So I would recommend to play Retribution Paladin if you like that multiple spec feel that you can actually have as a Paladin, while for Arms Warrior, basically it's Arms Warrior or a bit of a cheesy way with Protection Paladins. So let's talk about Hunters. Hunters are fantastic in Wrath of the Lich King. Basically, there is only one viable spec, and it is Marksmanship Hunters. You can play Survival with Explosive Shot and do some crazy one-shots here and there, but it is not meta. The meta comp is with MM, because you can disarm, because you can silence, because you can do a lot of crazy damage. Aim Shot is an instant ability now. It does also give you healing reduction, which is pretty massive in Wrath of the Lich King, I may say so, because the healing become crazy late game. Like for example season 6, season 7, it becomes very noticeable that healing becomes very good, and having a MS effect is quite good in this meta. So I would recommend to play with Hunter. In 3s you can still play jungle. I think that's the start of jungle cleave being very massive, because Ferals can actually cyclone out of their procs, so it's very good to actually cyclone the off targets, for example, and have crazy pressure. In 2s you can make it work with a healer, you can even make it work with a rogue, but remember, it's not all like on retail. You don't have a stealth ability, so you will have to play a bit more laid back and less aggressive. But if you want to play a more aggressive comp, I would recommend to play with a healer. Let's say, for example, a Disc Priest, because they will add some damage to the table, but also some burstiness, healing, and will support you very well. So Hunter, it's a crazy choice. If you want to play Hunter, you can do that and enjoy your time with it. Rogues, to be honest, Wrath of the Lich King rogues, they are crazy, but they have the problem with, which is actually having only one viable spec, which is Subtlety. So if you don't like Subtlety, I mean, you can play Assassination Rogues, but it's not as good as, let's say, on retail or on further expansions. Subtlety is just that much better because of Shadow Dance. You can play Combat, but Combat, again, I must say it's a cheesy spec. You are a worse Subtlety rogue outside of Killing Spree. Whenever you're doing Killing Spree and you're going to kill, it's going to be very satisfying in the beginning of the season, for example. But the further we go in the season, the further we have actually gear to defend themselves for Killing Sprees, the harder it becomes to actually play Combat Rogue. So if you want to play Season 5 as a Combat Rogue, it may be very successful, but you will know that people will ask you to go Subtlety if you want to have actual gain in CR. So that's pretty much Rogue. 2v2, you can play double Rogue, you can play with a Warlock, you can play with a Shadow Priest, you can play with a Disc Priest, you can play with healers in general. They have great comps to play in 2s, but it's more great for you than for your teammate. If you're playing with a warrior, basically the warrior will get like focused really hard. But the good thing is, in Wrath of the Lich King, people don't fall over 100 all the time. While in retail, double DPS is not as great because you can get one-shotted out of the blue. In Wrath of the Lich King, doesn't really happen as often. It is very bursty, especially in the further seasons. But Season 5 is not as bursty as further seasons, so you can really enjoy that. So that's for Rogue. RMP is still very strong. You can also play with a Mage in 2s. Really, they still are the same as in TBC. They play the same comps. But in 3s, you can also play with a Paladin, Scooby-Doo cleave, which is still a very good cleave to play. And you can also make it work with a Hunter, which is Tug. So you can have fun. Priests. So priests, they are very good. They have 2 great specs, which is Disc Priest. Nobody plays Holy Priest. Don't play Holy Priest in PvP, please. And Shadow Priest, which is a very good spec to play in trees. You can really play the Shadow play that you always wanted with an Affliction Warlock. Now, Affliction Warlocks can go full on Affliction instead of playing, let's say, Demonology because you wanted that Soul Link and you then dipped into Affliction. Now you can just go full on Affliction and do massive damage, massive dot damage. And as a Shadow Priest, you will love that in trees. Now, the problem with Shadow Priest is they are going to get focused from A to Z, and they don't have a lot of great defensive capacities. They are also very, very prone to get focused on all the time, but you will enjoy your time. The damage is actually insane. I feel like Shadow Priests are so underrated, and they are very, very good. So if you want to have fun, and you want to play a dot-based class, and you want to play with more casters than melees, you really can play Shadow Priest and enjoy your time, of course. You have also crazy CC, guys. Crazy CC. Okay, so let's talk about Death Knights. I'm going to go back because you cannot really create Death Knights on the boost. So Death Knights can play pretty much every race. And you have the great choice of having three fun specs. Now, I'm going to say the meta spec is Unholy. So if you play Unholy with Gargoyle and such, you're going to enjoy your time most of the time. Me, myself, I would like to play more Frost and Blood because I do like those specs. I always played that whenever I was young. I did play Unholy too, but my preference was always playing Frost to get some big crits, or play Blood, which is more with armor pen, but it can be very, very enjoyable to play. You have 3 great specs, and you have great comps to play in. You can play with a Retribution Paladin, you can play with a Arms Warrior, for example, in trees, which is TSG. You have a lot of great synergies with classes. You also the hero class, I would say, but it is in the nerfed state. It's not like in the beginning of Wrath of the Lich King where you were going to sit down on everyone, basically do a triple DK comp and like still roll on everyone. That's not possible anymore. In 3.3.5, it is in a nerf state. It is not as OP as before, but you can really make great work with it if you want to enjoy your time and have something different. Like, it's different from retail. If you want to see the difference between Wotlk DKs and DKs from retail, please play DK and you will see what we mean with we want old DKs back, because this iteration of DKs in retail is really dumbed down. It's really not as fun as on Wotlk or even Cataclysm. Cataclysm DK were also very fun to play. So I recommend this class. I myself will main that, so you will see videos about DKs really soon on this channel. So let's talk about Shamans. And Shamans, they are great in Wrath of the Lich King. Guys, Shamans are insane. You don't even know, you don't even comprehend. Elemental Shamans, they are going to be your bane in BGs. In arenas, it is going to 3-shot you every time. Lava Burst, mwah, Lightning Bolt, mwah, Chain Lightning, mwah, Magnifique. The damage is so good. And Thunderstorm actually does insane damage. And you're going to blast people off ledges by a mile. Like in Arati Basin, you're going to enjoy your time. And remember, in Classic, BGs were played insanely because you needed honor to actually get gear. You can also get rating in arenas and still get gear from that, but mostly people will also grind arenas BGs to get also gear from there. So you will enjoy your time with Elemental Shaman. Enhancement Shaman are really a great spec in Wotlk. In TBC, it felt still incomplete, but in Wotlk, you will get Feral Spirits. And Feral Spirits are awesome. They have so many great abilities by itself. It has a root break, it has a leap, it has a stun, it has so many capacities. People will be scared of your Feral Spirits. Sometimes they will even kill them because they know they are going to get destroyed by it. That's where Wotlk Classic got Beast Cleave, which is basically Hunter, Enhancement Shaman, and then a healer, which is insane. It's an insane comp. You also can play Turbo. Turbo Cleave is still a very good comp also in Classic, with an Arms Warrior, of course. You can even play with a DK, which is insane pressure, guys. Your healing is also very nice, because you also have Maelstrom weapons. The class just feels awesome to play, and the good thing is you can play dual wields. But if you want to have some enjoyment and you want to do some montage video PvP action, you know, some great burstiness, you can equip a two-hander and just enjoy those Wind Fury crits. Like, it still is possible in Wotlk. It just gets a bit, it gets actually worse in Cataclysm. You don't really have the possibility to do that, but Wotlk is your last chance to actually do some crazy unbreakable montage videos, you know. Just enjoy your time, pick Enhancement Shaman, and you will, like, it's going to be insane, guys. I'm hesitating to make a boost for Shamans, but I might maybe level it. Restoration Shamans become also very great and proficient healers. They have, of course, Riptide, which is a insane heal. You will have finally the 4 totems directly, so you can actually press a button and you will have 4 totems around you. So that's also a very good quality of life change, which is very good. I don't know, I cannot really talk a lot about Restoration Shaman because I don't really know a lot of, but it is one of the best specs of the, like, really. I remember fondly how Restoration Shamans were super great, and now your Earth Shield will not get dispelled in one go. Now it will just deplete stack per stack. So it's also a very good dispel protection spell, because people will try to dispel it and it takes a lot of time to actually dispel it completely. So it's a very good class in general, I think, and Shaman got the better end in PvP, Wotlk Classic wise at least. Alright, let's talk really quickly about Priest, because I forgot actually to talk about Disc Priest. Disc Priest gets Penance, which is awesome. They will feel complete. It will be a lot more fun than TBC, a lot more fun than Vanilla. I mean, they are probably one of the best healers to play. You will have a lot of fun with it. You can play with any comp, really. You're going to enjoy your time. That's what I'm going to say. So if you want to play Priest and you want to heal, Disc Priest is probably the best choice you can make to actually enjoy your time, PvP wise, PvE wise. You can actually kill people with Disc Priest with Penance. Penance hits really hard sometimes. I mean, you are really a complete class. I feel like Wotlk kind of completed every class. They become all proficient at what they do, and that's awesome to actually hear, you know. So let's talk about Mage real quickly. Mage get Deep Freeze, so if you wanna relive those deep freeze days, I would just recommend to play Wotlk Classic with a Mage. That's where actually Frost Mages become really great. Of course, it is not obnoxious because they are really squishy. So don't think it's like retail where you can survive 2 melees on you and you can just hardcast in front of them. That's not possible. You will just have to kite really well. If you don't kite, you're going to get destroyed. But that's satisfying because you will also destroy people in one deep freeze with your Ice Lances, Frost Bolts. You also get Frost Fireballs, a procs, which is really satisfying to get. I think mages really are in a great spot. Arcane, it is going to be the BG Lord. Like, it's going to be insane how much fun you can have as Arcane. Is it really viable in arenas? I don't really think so. I think you will need to cast a lot to actually do meaningful damage, and mana wise you're going to get depleted most of the time, but you can really one-shot people sometimes, and I think just because of that you can also see a lot of arcane mages in arenas. At least in BGs you're going to really have a great time. It's not like Cataclysm where I think arcane mages were really proficient, but Wotlk, you're going to see some arcane barrages on you and you're going to get destroyed and don't even know how it happened. It's a really great spec, guys. I mean, the good thing is about mages in Wotlk is if you're going to kick on arcane, you're not lost. You still have frostbolt, you still have fireball, you still have frost fireball. You still have a lot of tools to actually defend yourself. While in retail, you get frostbolt, you get fire blast, but it does no damage. It's not scary. But in Wotlk, whenever you're casting a frostbolt or a fireball, it is actually scary. So there you go. Mages are very good. Fire mages, they are awesome, guys. They guys, fire mages with a balanced druid, like a comp, like 3v3 comp with a balanced druid, it is going to be insane because you don't know who you're going to actually focus. If you're not focusing the mage, he's going to destroy you left, right, and center. If you're not focusing the balanced druid, he's going to have a field trip, guys. I can't wait. I can't wait to play some PvP in Wotlk, man. It's going to be very, very awesome. I like it. Okay, now let's talk. Comp-wise, it's still RMP. I mean, I cannot fool you. RMP, Warlocks like MLX, so Mage Lock and then Healer, or with an Elemental Shaman, it's also going to be possible. You can also play with a Boomy, which is the Blazing Chicken comp. I don't know how it's called with a Fire Mage. Something like this. Spicy Chicken. Excuse me. Spicy Chicken comp, which is also very fun to play, I think. I want to play Mage too, but I don't want to boost the Mage though. And maybe I will have to level one. But it looks very awesome. So Warlocks, guys, if you want to play the best version of Warlocks ever, just play Wrath of the Lich King Warlocks, guys. This spec of class is one of the most complete classes in the game. Affliction feels the most complete. They will have dots that are very meaningful. Your haunt is going to be very, very strong because it does a lot of damage. It restores your health. It improves the damage over time of your dots. It's insane. And having a Nightfall proc, your Shadow Bolt will just do a lot of damage. Your dots can crit. It is going to be very awesome to play. I mean, I think if you're having fun Affliction on retail, you're going to definitely have fun on Wrath of the Lich King, guys. I mean, if you haven't played Warlock on Wrath of the Lich King, I recommend to just roll a Warlock and play it. I myself hesitate to actually level one instead of boosting one because I feel like it's easy to level. I want to play all the classes, guys. I don't know you guys. Are you having a struggle to choose? I feel like this video is going to give you more problems than actually giving you solutions, but I mean, Wrath of Lich King is just such a great expansion to play that I can understand why people struggle to actually choose a main. So, you have Affliction, crazy dot damage, you can play with a Shadow Priest, you can even play with Elemental Shaman, which is Lock Shaman, which is the beginning in Wrath of Lich King, becomes a great comp. You could also play it in TBC, but in Wrath of Lich King, it becomes proficient because you have Hex. And Hex is very big to actually get the CC going. While in TBC, I mean, there's a bit of struggle there. And Lava Burst is such a great ability too. You can play Destruction, which is awesome. Chaos Bolt hits like a truck. Incinerate hits like a truck. Conflag hits like a truck. Shadow Fury hits like a truck. Everything hits like it's so awesome, guys. I mean, I think Warlock has so many options spec wise. You can also do some crazy hybrids to really desire, but I would just go like directly for Chaos Bolt because I think it's very awesome to play, very fun to play, and whenever it crits, I mean that guy, he gets deleted, guys. He gets deleted, and that's also the sensation you want to have in Wrath of the Lich King. You want to delete people, and I think if you want to do that, play Destruction Warlock. Demonology Warlock becomes more of a meme spec in PvP. Oh, I need to reconnect myself. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Don't do this to me. Alright, so Demonology Warlock, I think in general, they are, better in PvE. They're going to feed items to the Demonology Warlock, and he is going to kill bosses like left, right, and center. But in PvP, it's not as impressive. You have demon form, so if you want to have fun with it, you can. Me myself, I would not really play a lot of Demonology because I feel like it's a worse Affliction Warlock whenever the demon form is gone. But I may try it. I may see for myself if it's really going to be bad or not. Me myself, I look forward to play Affliction, man, and also Destruction. Those two specs are really awesome to play and really fun. I would recommend to play that. In twos, I would just play with a healer, but you can also play with a double DPS or with a rogue. You can even play with a Shadow Priest or with a Mage and still have a great time. Alright, let's talk about Druid, the most versatile spec out there. Let's talk about the rest of Druid first. It's a bit worse than in TBC because I think the other healers just caught up to the rest of Druid. They also got a bit of nerfs, I think, here and there, healing wise, like power wise. But you can enjoy your time, right? You can. Wild Growth is a good ability to press in PvP. You may also just drop Wild Growth and maybe go for a bit more of a aggressive play in Feral or balance side of the tree. But I don't know. I feel like they are still good, but if you're like playing TBC Resto Druid and you're going to Wotlk, you're going to feel a bit gimped, and you will probably go for Resto Shaman or Disc Priest or even Holy Paladin to actually heal, and I can understand that. But let's talk about Feral Druids. Feral Druids are going to be awesome because they finally get a kidney shot ability, which is basically maim. It's not a in-cap anymore. They get crazy dots, they have crazy ferocious bites, they get berserk, which is super good, they get survival instinct, so you're not going to drop dead instantly. You also can bark skin in any form, so you don't get dropped out of form, and then you get kidney shot and you're pretty much dead. Now you can just take it as a feral. Just in general, you're going to enjoy more your time with feral druids. They are going to feel awesome. You can also cyclone because of a proc, so you get a proc by using your combos, and then you can have an instant cyclone, which is very big. I wish on retail you had that, but you don't have that. You can instantly heal you or your mates. You can really play double DPS as a feral druid and enjoy your time, although sometimes you will be forced to get on in bear form or else you will die, but that's just part of feral druids. I think it never has really changed on that aspect. Now let's talk about balanced druid. Balanced druid, they do insane damage if they are left alone. They are going to be the kings of BGs. You can do starfalls, which is so awesome. If you're not going to get CC'd on starfall, you're going to kill someone instantly. But no, people will know that they won't have to silence you or stun you or whatever they can do to actually stop that starfall. I don't know if silence actually stops it. I think it does. I think interrupt doesn't do that, but silence does. But stuns really does that. It stops starfall, and if you're left alone, you're going to one-shot people. If you play with a fire mage in trees, you will have a better time because they will not focus you all the time. They don't want a fire mage to actually also pop off. If you're playing with a melee, I think it's going to be iffy. I would still play with a caster to make it work, but it's a great spec. It becomes really a spec by itself compared to TBC. You're going to enjoy your time. It's really the rise of boomkins in Wrath of Lich King. You will see a lot of boomkins in BGs. You will also see a lot more boomkins in trees. I think in twos you will have to play double DPS somehow, some way, because I think they will just focus you, or you play with an aggressive healer, let's say with a Disc Priest, and you will have to do goes depending on CC and possibilities to actually kill targets. So this is my video talking about which specs and classes you could play. Of course, I may say this, but I would recommend to get the boost if you're not going to level, because I know a lot of people don't like to level and they say like, oh, I'm not willing to play Wrath of the Lich King because I need to level. You buy the boost, okay, it's expensive for a lot of people, I get it. But I feel if you really want to play Wrath of the Lich King, I think it's quite worth it. If you don't want to level and you want to have a level 70, you will get it directly. You can also make a Death Knight right away, which is directly level 55. And with the pre-patch, whenever you're doing all the DK quests, you're going to get level 59 instead of level 58. So that's pretty awesome. So I would recommend you guys to play the pre-patch and enjoy your time. So thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate you. Again, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet. Like the video if you like the video. Comment below what you think about Wrath of the Lich King. Which spec or which class are you going to level? Myself, I don't know which one I'm going to boost, which one I'm going to main. I think DKs are for sure going to be my main class, but I want to play at least 2 or 3 classes in PvP because I just enjoy my time. I will do some raids here and there, but again, don't listen to guys thinking that you will have to have full PvE gear to enjoy your time in PvP. That's not the case. Really, if you want to min max, you will have some trinkets here and there. But I know people on private servers that did climb without PvE trinkets. So it's really possible to do that. So again, thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate you. We will see each other very soon, and be sure to stay safe. See you tomorrow. Bye.